In a modern ICU, the priority is the clock. A ventilator pumps, monitors blare, and a doctor stands over an elderly Indigenous woman. Her lungs are failing, and he needs an immediate decision on life support. He turns to her daughter for a yes or no, but she doesn't look at him. She sits in a heavy, total silence. To the medical team, this looks like shock or indecision, but in traditional Ojibwe culture, this silence is an active process of seeking family consensus and spiritual guidance before a single word is spoken. The clinical paradigm views death as a failure of the body to be fought at all costs. The Indigenous paradigm sees it as a sacred, community-supported transition of the spirit. Western medical facilities were historically designed for standardization, not nuance. You see it in these early ward designs, long, rigid lines and identical beds that prioritize clinical efficiency over any form of private ceremony. For Indigenous elders, these sterile environments carry a specific weight. They mirror the forced assimilation of the residential school system, where culture was struck away in identical dormitories. Today, that history makes the hospital a place of deep fear. Forcing a medical protocol without acknowledging this context fails the patient. It inflicts new, avoidable trauma on a family already in crisis. When we analyze the physical rules of a standard hospital, the structural conflict becomes even clearer. Small shared rooms and strictly enforced visiting hours are physically incompatible with the requirement for an entire extended clan to stand vigil with the dying. Safety systems create another barrier. Sensitive smoke detectors and sterile air filters are designed to prevent fires, but they also effectively prohibit the burning of sacred medicines like sage or sweetgrass. Hospital architecture is not a neutral space. It is engineered for rapid physical intervention while structurally locking out the space required for spiritual care. Their role is to formally address the dying person, releasing them from their earthly duties so the spirit can move on unburdened. The pipe ceremony is used to clear the mind of fear, guilt, or negative forces, ensuring the person enters their journey with a good mind. For purification, specific medicines must be burned. Dried white sage is used to cleanse the physical space and the people within it. This is followed by sweetgrass, adding a final layer of sensory and spiritual cleansing. Without these exact tools and words, the dying person remains spiritually tethered to their earthly burdens. It prevents a peaceful departure, and in this worldview, puts the spirit at risk. Hospitals can bridge the gap between medical protocol and spiritual necessity through a series of practical, systemic steps. Spatially, this means moving the patient into a large private room that can accommodate up to 40 clan members. It's an attempt to replicate the scale and communal support found in a traditional longhouse. Administratively, it involves creating protocols to temporarily bypass smoke alarms, allowing the necessary sage and sweetgrass to be burned safely. It also requires respecting the body after death, avoiding autopsies to return the person intact to the earth, and training staff to avoid speaking the deceased name to let the spirit depart in peace. These accommodations cannot erase a century of institutional harm. However, they do begin to shift the hospital's reputation within Indigenous communities, moving it away from its history as a site of trauma toward a relationship based on mutual respect. Modern medicine is equipped to treat the body's failure, but it is the integration of culture, community, and ceremony that honors the spirit's journey.